Hello and welcome to your backyard. Now in this video we're going to take an eggplant, we're going to chop it in half. Here's an eggplant already chopped in half and we're going to get some seeds from it. And there's some seeds there. So I'm going to show you how to choose the eggplant for propagation. Like if you want to use a dirty old one which the possums attacked like this one, or maybe the best one you have so that those genetics or those good traits get passed on to another generation. But also how to get the seeds out, because there's lots of processes, lots of different ways of doing it. And I've tried most of them, but I've got the way I do it, you'll see for yourself, should be faster and cleaner. There's lots of different ways of doing it. So I'll show you. I'll put timestamps down below so you can just skip to whatever part you need instead of having to watch the whole thing. But in the end, you should have some beautiful seeds like this. I'll show you how to dry them and store them just so they do last the winter or the summer or the whole year until you're ready to use them next time. And we'll go from there. So let's jump into it. Okay, here we are. You should be able to see a bit better now what I'm doing. But before we get into it, this is what the seeds will look like once you've kind of harvested them from the eggplant and dried them out. You want them to look like this, kind of crispy, a little bit kind of golden color, not just white. And these are ready to go for next year. And these ones I got out of my best, healthiest looking, biggest, most tasty eggplant there was, because these are the genes I want to pass on to my next bunch of eggplants or my next season of eggplants. I want them to have the best genes out of the current crop I had. So that's one thing to do when looking for which ones to get the seeds from. I'm just going to put them back in there. There we go. But in this case, the reason I've chosen this eggplant is that when this plant was when this eggplant on the eggplant plant was still quite young, a possum got into it, took a few bites out of it, and after that I don't want to touch this. Who knows how well possums brush their teeth, so I don't want to be using this one. So instead we're going to use this one for seeds, because it never hurts to have too many seeds, just in case one batch doesn't work out. Then you've got more backups to use. So first thing we're going to do, cut off the top there, make it easy to cut. Okay, now the seeds, it's going to be very hard to cut into this without cutting some seeds, because there's little pods of seeds throughout the eggplant. So they're kind of in the middle. It's very hard to kind of know where these pods are going to be. So when you cut into it, there's a chance you're going to destroy or cut through some seeds. But it's okay, because these plants, especially once you let them ripen, they have a lot more seeds. And one more thing, a main thing I should have told you about is when you choose the plant, you're going to the eggplant from the plant, the eggplant that you're going to use for your seeds, make sure it's old. So leave it on the tree longer, let it get overripe, let it start shriveling. The flesh will either become very hard, like it will go soft at first and then very hard, or even where it is like this one, where it's soft, that's good enough. But you can see inside is still quite nice and white. So this still would have been edible, but after a while it does start going brownish, and that's still fine for harvesting the seeds from. So now this part is fairly straightforward. All you have to do, it's very time consuming, but straightforward. We'll make a few cuts so I can show you what we need. I'm just kind of guiding my cuts to avoid big clusters of seeds. But those are the seeds there inside it, and we need to get those out. So it's a bit of a time-consuming process of just chipping away until you can find the areas which have the most seeds. There we go. I think, I've done well not to cut through any at the moment. But yeah, you just kind of take off the flesh until you get the little clusters of seeds. Then you just mine away at the eggplant, getting these little clusters out, and you do it as well as you can. So feel free to put on an audio book, put on maybe not a movie because you need to watch what you're doing, but something where you can just listen away, maybe just some music, or actually what I did with my last eggplant, I called up my parents. It was a good chance to have a good chat with them just while I was distracted, just slowly working away, getting all the seeds out of this. So as you can see, I've just kind of got the ones there. Now cut it again, and there's some more inside. So keep going until you have them all. Using a big tray like this is good because some do flick out, and if you got a big tray around you, then they are going to catch it without you having to keep stopping what you're doing to to get all the seeds which have kind of sprung away off the floor. So this is good. You don't want to be stopping and starting. And here, slowly, we're just doing section by section, you're getting the seeds out. I've seen other people use a spoon to just kind of like scoop up all the seeds, and then once they have that spoonful of flesh and seed, they then put it in something like a sieve and just blast it with water to kind of wash away all the eggplant and leave the seeds behind. And that's good, but it just seemed way longer to me. And you still ended up with a lot of flesh attached to the seed. So up to you which way you do it, but this is the way I've done it in the past, and it seems I started off doing it that way, where you kind of just very roughly get the flesh with the seeds and then blast away the flesh after kind of mashing it up a bit. But I end up with just a lot of damaged seeds, and just it took so long just going back, blasting it until there was no seeds left. So already I've got a good amount, because all you need is like 2 or 3 just to have a good harvest, because each eggplant plant should make on average about 4 to 8 eggplants. It's confusing when it's an eggplant plant making eggplants. So each eggplant plant should make at least, oh there we go, that's a perfect example of a nice little pod of them there. So now that we've got that out, that's going to be very easy to get them out of there. Now here's another one. It usually breaks away from the main part a little bit easier, like it is kind of designed, and almost to be able to pull it out. And there we go, that was way easier that time. Now we've got this big cluster, here we are, a big cluster, which we can just use our fingernails and just push these seeds out. So I'll keep going with this, and we'll fast forward to the next part, which is kind of cleaning them and then storing them. So let's do it. Okay, now here we go. So we've got, this is only half of the eggplant, but we've got a lot of seeds from that. And they're looking pretty dry. Like, I didn't do the method, like I mentioned before, where there's a lot of pulp still attached. I just kind of took my time and did them got them out one at a time instead of just big scoops. But still, we want to give them a wash, because some of them, and especially some varieties of eggplant, or even this process would work for tomatoes, anything like that, you still want to give them a wash, just in case there's some enzymes from the eggplant on the seeds themselves, which may deter them from growing. So we'll just give it a good old rinse. Whoa, you can't see what I'm doing there. Okay, there we go. That should be good. Now, hose off. And there we go. Now, the last step, all we have to do is dry them off. So we got to leave them out in the sun. So let's quickly do that. Now here we are back here. So we've got these wet washed seeds with us. Now we want to dry them off, because if they stay wet, any dampness will kind of make them start to grow, and we don't want that. Also, if we store them while they're still damp, then they'll start to rot, so we don't want that either. So we have to dry these out as thoroughly as we can to make sure that just to give these guys the best chance possible. So here they all are here. They're still a bit wet, so let's just pat them down. Forgive me if there's if you can hear the helicopter. There's a helicopter flying nearby. And it's a bit of an overcast, kind of like crappy day today. Well, not crappy, but it's nice doing this in the middle of the day with the bright sun, but everything's all grey and overcast. These seeds are not going to be drying so quickly today. Now, there we go. That's looking pretty nice. Let's get the other side, because it's still, that paper is now damp. So let's just skip this out. Usually, like, depending on how long you want to, oh, sorry, not how long, how much sun you get where you live. Oh, here we go, the sun's coming out. How much sun you have, you may need to leave these out in the direct sun for maybe 1 day, if you're in like Australia summer, where they're going to be in the direct heat, where they'll get physically hot from sitting in the sun. But some parts of the world, up to 3 days maybe. And you'll basically know by just sliding them around in your fingers, and if you feel any stickiness, any moistness, then you know just to leave them out for longer, because the last thing you want to do is store them away and let them rot, or have them rot, sorry. And then what we got to do from there, in my pocket somewhere, I'm just grabbing it now, I have a silicone packet. Okay, now it's been a few days and here we have our dried up seeds. Very crispy now, but I don't think there's such a thing as making them too dry, which is good. And now we've got to store them. So there's two ways. You could put them into a Ziploc bag. This is not a Ziploc bag, but it can be an airtight sealable bag. But one problem with this is that they don't breathe at all. And if you see any moisture in these bags, then transfer it and get that moisture out of there as soon as possible. But one trick people do is they put these inside, like silicone bags or sachets, to absorb all the moisture if there is any moisture left. But one trick I've noticed people doing lately is that they put seeds in envelopes, because they still breathe. They aren't totally protected from moisture. Like say if you had kept them outside somewhere and they got caught in the rain, then the envelope's not going to help them much. But if you're keeping your seeds indoors, then it's perfect, because it does allow the moisture to escape. At the same time, it keeps them dry and contained. And then you can just slip it into a file or something like that with the name of the type of seeds on there. And that's it, it's sorted. But I keep my seeds outside, so I'm going to put them into this packet here, because sometimes, for some reason, I can't do it on with you seeing it, because I can't, I'll make a big mess. But sometimes where I store my seeds, if there's a big enough storm, it can get to that area, which I hope to fix. Oh, there we go. Can we do it? There we go. I do hope to fix, but there has been some times where I've been glad I stored it in the plastic. So if you're keeping your seeds outside, store them in plastic with silicone gel. If you're storing them inside, then an envelope will be perfect, because it will still allow moisture. So it will still absorb moisture, allow moisture to escape, but keep them dry and safe. Okay, so that's us all done. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you now follow this guide and get your own seeds all stored up, ready for the next season. If you did find it useful, let me know by clicking the thumbs up like button. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. But guys, until I see you next, have a great week. Take care of yourself. Oh, the sun's coming out. Take care of yourself, and I'll catch you next time.